guys, it's Tanya with Scraptastic Creations. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to create a 2-page layout and I am going to use this Designer Series paper, Frames and Flowers. I love this paper. This is very tropical, and being a Floridian, this is my jam. These are my colors. I love them. So this paper is double-sided. It's a nice thick quality paper. Aren't these colors fun? I love them. So let me show you what's really fun about this paper. So you get a sheet of these kind of like, you can use them for like Picture My Life cards, Project Life cards, journaling cards, whatever you want, or just in your backgrounds for your embellishments. And these three cards right here, the middle part comes out, so you can have your photos behind them or on top of them, or just use them for your embellishments. And then you got this border thing here. But what I really love is you get 2 full sheets of these die cuts, and look how easy they pop out. They just pop out so easy. But you get 2 full sheets of these, and you don't even need any stamp sets or anything. Like, all your embellishments are right here. So this makes for fast scrapbooking, easy scrapbooking, and I love it. So let me show you something. So I have used this paper collection before on my channel, and this is a new kit. I love it so much I bought a couple of these kits, but I have this plastic envelope. Now this came with some metal dies in it, and I have my die cuts with my stamps. So I saved these envelopes, and I have all of those punched out, and they are sorted right in here. Got my bigger ones in the back, and then all the little ones up here of the leaves and stuff. So this is easy and convenient for me. I just have them in this folder, and I throw it right in my envelope with my paper. So it's right in my paper collection. They're not all over the place, and every time I pull my paper out, it's a mess. They're just in this envelope, and I have all of them stored nicely. So I just throw that in there, and that's what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to punch these other ones out and put them in here, and I'll have all my stuff together and organized. So let me show you my photos. So this is my husband and I's anniversary to Cocoa Beach in 2023. And this is a continuation because I have scrapbooked this vacation here on my channel already. And I'm trying to finish up that our vacation. So I'm scrapbooking the entire thing. And these are the photos that I'm using today. This is the next morning after we arrived to Cocoa Beach, and we had got up and went for an early walk on the beach. So I'm going to bring my Versamats in here to work on, and some white cardstock for my background. Now these Versamats I get a lot of questions about. They are retired from Close to My Heart. Close to My Heart went out of business. And right now Stampin' Up is not carrying them. But I use them because I really love them. There is great dimensions on here. It keeps me lined up, and it keeps me in camera. So until Stampin' Up comes up with something just as great, I'm going to continue to use them. I'm sorry, they're really hard to find. So let me show you how I'm going to have my photos. So I am going to have these 2 photos of my husband and I. They are going to be here, and then these ones are going to be up here like this, maybe like this. I am working off of a sketch, and this sketch is by the Creative Design Team. I'm not sure which volume it is, but I will find it, and I will leave it linked in the description box below. So I think I want to use this pattern, and I'm going to use this coming down here. And then I'm also going to use it over here down at the bottom. So where it comes in here and here is where I'm going to cut that. I like that. And now I want to add in, I think I want to use, I love that. I think I want to use this card. And I'm not going to use it as a card. I want to use this as my strip that goes across here and then comes down here. And I know you're like, how are you going to do that? So I am going to cut it and strategically place it and you won't even be able to tell that I've cut it or that it's a smaller strip of paper. Okay, you see how I cut those? Now you'll need 2 cards to do this because this one I cut the long ways and this one I cut the shorter way. Now these cards are, 3 3/4 by 5. So had they been 4 by 4, they would have been touching, but that's okay because you're going to see how I am going to hide that. Now I'm going to bring in this pattern paper here for up top. So I'm going to have that there. I love those colors together. I think they're so pretty. And then this one will go over here. Perfect. Okay, so when I bring my photos in, this one's going to be down here. And then this one's going to be a little bit more up because the title's going to go right here. So you see how you can't even tell that that was a little card and I just made it a piece of paper. Now for over here, we have the embellishment cluster here. So I am going to create a embellishment cluster and I will be able to hide that with my leaves and my flowers. So again, now I do have an extra piece and I could just cut it and fit it in here, and most likely if I turn it, like most likely you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's a separate piece of paper because this pattern is so busy. But I don't even think I need to worry about doing that. I think that I can just hide it with my embellishments. I brought in my glass mat to work on and I am going to do several things on this mat. I have my Misty Moonlight ink. I just have a water spray bottle, a scrap piece of paper, and I also have just a scrap piece of plastic. And this plastic, I am just, believe it or not, I've saved this for years. I'm going to use this. I'm going to do a little technique called ink smooshing. And I'm going to test it out first to make sure it's the right color. So I'm just going to smoosh my ink on here. And once would have been fine, but I just did it twice. And then I'm going to give it a couple of sprays of water. And then get my bag here. Now I'm just going to squish this around. And then I want to test this out. I might even have a little bit too much ink. I just want to test this out because I want to be sure it's the color that I am looking for. Because I can always switch this color up and make it lighter if I want. Okay, so that's what Misty Moonlight looks like. Okay, so if I add this color behind my photos, and I chose this dark color because I was trying to, there's a lot of green in my, in the water, if you can see here. This is the east side of the ocean. So you don't have those beautiful greens down at Cocoa Beach. You got a little bit, but not like you do further down south. So I'm thinking that, I think that color is just a little bit too dark. So I'm going to try another color. Okay, so here's the Misty Moonlight, and then here is Boho Blue. And Boho Blue is a retired color. But if you don't have Boho Blue, I'm going to show you an alternative here. This is just a little bit, they're kind of similar, but this is just a little bit more blue. And this has some more of like the grayer tones. So if you don't have Boho Blue, Azure Afternoon would be a very good choice. It's really pretty watercolor, and it's not too far off. But I'm going to go ahead and use this. So I'm just move my hand around just in different positions. And this is kind of going to give it like the water effect and just look like the waves or the splashing in the background. And I love that detail. It's just enough detail. It's actually pretty perfect. Let's look at that real quick. Okay, so if I have this here, because I'm going to build my title here. Yeah, I think that, I like that a lot. I might just go ahead and add a little bit more down here. So just now I'm going to repeat it to this side. And I just did this technique on a layout that I did of my grandson at the pool, and that came out so cute. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. Okay, so these will just kind of lay out. Let's check. So laying these out, I want to have a little bit more in here towards the edge and maybe a little bit higher up top. Okay, I'm going to bring in some embellishments, and don't worry, I'm going to show you where I got these from. Let me show you this. I actually have a ton of beach embellishments cut out, some dies already cut out, and some stamps that I've worked all summer long on some of my beach layouts. And I already had these pulled out, so I just kind of pulled out the colors that I wanted. And a lot of these were already inked, so if you can see, there is, actually, let me pull out another one and you could really see that way. I'm sure I have another one in here. I do. So I just pulled out the colors that I thought I wanted to use. So if you look at this one and you look at this one, you can see that there's just it's a little darker. There's a little bit more detail. And that is because I used my blending brush and I added the coordinating ink color on, and I don't use the whole thing. I'm going to show you real quick. I don't use the whole, actually I'll use this one to show you. Now I might not use all of these, but I just thought I would pull out, you know, the colors that match my paper that I might want to use. So I have these, and then I also pulled out, I'm going to show you these. I'm not going to ink these, but actually I might do a little bit of inking around the edges of these. I'm not sure yet, but these are some of the pieces. These are the dies from the paper collection that I just loved and I thought would match my layout perfectly. So I have all of these little flowers that I love. And I'm also trying to stick to the same kind of embellishments because I told you this is a mini vacation that I am trying to scrapbook the whole thing. And these are some of the dies that I've already used. Now, some of these are retired and not available, but the ones that are, I will leave linked in the description box below, okay? So these are all the things that I pulled out of my bag right there. Now, how I went ahead and added the ink is, let me just show you these colors first of all. So there's these and this petal pink. So these are the colors, if you want to go ahead and screenshot that. These are the colors that are in this paper, these embellishments right here. So these are the coordinating colors that I used with my blending brushes to add ink to all of these. Okay, so this is Peacock cardstock, and this is my Peacock ink. So all I did was just grab a blending brush and my ink, and I just inked this. I didn't do the whole thing. I wanted to add detail, and it gives it not an ombre effect, but it gives it, you can just see the detail a little bit more in it, and I just like the way it looks a little bit better. Okay, let me show you. So the dies of this I think are still available. I didn't use the stamp on this. This is Ocean Friends. I used this. Now, like I said, I already had that cut up. And so these are two different ones. These come from two different sets. If you can see, this one is these little seaweeds. This one has that nice split little detail in it. But this one has this little, like, I'm not sure if you can see it, but this little, it's got detail in it. It's got this little, like, piece that's embossed up. Now, that is this right here. This one right here is this one with the slit. Now, this one is from Seaside Wishes, and that's this one right here. So it leaves that little imprint in it. These things came from here. And my sand dollars, I had a bunch of these made, and these are embossed with embossing powder. So this is a hybrid stamp and die set. And this has an embossing folder, and these lock in. So if you have this, or you can maybe find this on a used or buy-sell trade site, I went ahead and added my Versamark ink, which is to emboss. I put it directly on my embossing folder. And then I put my paper in here, which this is the crumb cake, and I used the lighter side, and I put the lighter side down in here. So I had my piece of paper. Let me show you. So this is the crumb cake. This is the two-tone cardstock. So I used the lighter side down. So this was cut by like 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And after I inked this with my embossing, I went ahead and I put it in here and I ran it through. And then I took white embossing powder to my paper, and I put that on my sand dollars, and then I het that up with my heat tool. So after that, I went ahead and I used the metal die. This die, they lock in place. The hybrid, I'm going to show you that. You're going to see that on this because I'm going to actually make that with you. So the hybrid embossing folders and dies, these dies lock in here, and it doesn't move around. So it's got like, it's got these grooves, and it locks in place. And then it cut these out. So I thought those came out perfect. Now I'm not going to show you that on film. I have before, when I started making, maybe I think the first page that I made, but I have a bunch of these made up, so I just pull them out of my folder. So this Beauty of the Deep is where I have a bunch of these cut out, and I have those in the Pretty Peacock and also in the Misty Moonlight cardstock. Okay, so I am going to clear these away, and I'm going to show you how I created these. Okay, so this is the Happy Hibiscus embossing folder. This is the hybrid embossing folder and the stamp and die set. If you have never used these hybrid embossing folders, I highly recommend them. They are a game changer for sure. So not only did I stamp this and cut this out, it embossed, you see on this back side, it embossed that flower to give it such a realistic, really pretty effect. I love it. Okay, so what I did was, I'm going to show you, we're gonna make one right now. So I am going to use this die, and see, this is where those leaves came from that I showed you right here. Okay, so I'm going to use a stamp set, and I am going to use my embossing folder and this die. So here's my stamp set. So another thing I want to show you is I pulled out all these inks: Petal Pink, Peach Pie, Pumpkin Pie, Calypso Coral, and Timid Tiger. Now I'm going to pull my paper in. So I was looking at this color, and isn't that pretty? I really love that. And that's why I told you too that I thought these flowers would be awesome. Okay, so the reason why I'm showing you all of these is because any one of them would work. The Pumpkin Pie and the Calypso Coral are the colors in the paper. But let me show you. When I stamped this before, which I had a sample, so I just kind of laid it there, this gave it a really dark outline, and it just didn't coordinate with my paper. Now, I have done it this way, and I've used it on other layouts with this paper, and it's beautiful, but it's not what I was going for. I was going for more of kind of the orangey tones. And then the Pumpkin Pie was just a little too orange for me. Now, these colors will work. So then I looked at these colors, and the Peach Pie was way too light. So I pulled in this. This is the new Timid Tiger paper, one of the new ink colors. And this was so nice. Now let me show you these, like looking at them, so you can kind of see the difference in color. So even with these, there's a difference. This is softer, and I love this color. This is an awesome beach color. It's a nice tropical feel. I love it. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I really loved this with the Petal Pink ink, but again, any one of these will work. Okay, so this is how I did this. Okay, so this is the Timid Tiger. And I took my stamp. Now this is all together. This stamp set is one stamp. And then I just stamped that. Isn't that pretty? How tropical is that? You know what else? This color is perfect for fall, for leaves and pumpkins. And then I thought, oh, you got to have this color because then you're going to stamp like your snowmen, like the noses and stuff. And I love this. It's so beautiful. So summertime for tropical, beautiful flowers. It's definitely, you got to have that color. All right. So then I took my petal pink and a blending brush again. And I just, you guys know how to do this. I just inked around these dies. Okay, so I added ink to all of these. And then I went ahead and I'll show you because this is how I find it easier. I'm going to cut this off. So I grabbed a little piece of low-tack tape. And then I'm going to take my die and I'm going to put my die here and I'm going to tape it in place. That way there, now you don't have to. You can put it there and put the die there and just kind of hold it, and it does, I've done that when I've been a little lazy or I was in a hurry. But then you're just going to line this up and then I'm going to add a little bit of low-tack tape to hold it into place. That looks pretty good right there. I'm going to use this side right here that has the little Stampin' Up logo. And I am going to put that right into place. Okay, so that, I'm moving it underneath. That is locked into place, okay? So it's fitting in those grooves. I'm just going to sandwich that closed. And that's going to hold my die in place. Okay, so I ran that through my embossing machine. And then I'm just going to carefully, because I don't want to rip my flowers, but I'm just going to carefully peel this off. And my flowers pop right out and they have all that embossed detail. And they're inked and die cut already. And I love it. I'm telling you, these hybrid embossing folders are amazing. And that's what I use for those sand dollars as well. Okay, so now I'm going to create my letters and I want to do an ombre effect. So I'm bringing in these ink colors and I'm probably going to start with I'm going to probably start with this pretty peacock. Nope. You know what? I'm going to start with the boho blue, okay? So I'm just going to ink that up and I am going to add ink to this entire bottom section. And you can make it as light or as dark as you'd like. Okay, I am going to bring in my alphabet a la mode. And I use these dies all the time. So I'm sure you saw them. I love them. And one of the things I love best about them, and I'm always telling you, is that you get multiple letters of the most popular letters. So it makes die cutting pretty easy. And then I'm also bringing in my mini alphabet. And I love this die because one pass and I have all these letters. So but I'm going to be strategic about how I place these ones. So let's lay out our title. Okay, before I cut these letters out, now you can use your glue runner or liquid glue. I'm just going to use my liquid glue right here. I am going to glue, and less is more, but since I'm cutting out individual letters, I'm barely pressing on my glue. I want to glue 2 pieces of paper together. This is just going to give me a little bit more dimension when I put my letters down without using any foam tape, which I am going to definitely like a little better. Well, I guess I need to line these up. Now that I got my embellishments and my letters created, I want to glue down these main pieces and then frame my photos. I'm going to bring in my pretty Peacock ink and a just a blending tool with a sponge on it. And I'm just going to give these just a little bit of inking. I'm not going to, well, yeah, let's just do a little bit of distressing this way. So I'm just going to add a little bit of ink. This is just going to give my paper a little bit more separation from the other ones and just a little bit more detail, and I love adding this. I'm going to go ahead and ink these pieces of paper up, and I'm also going to bring in this pretty peacock, and I am going to cut my cardstock that way. Now, I went back and forth because if you look at this, and this is the Misty Moonlight, if you look at this paper, this little leaf here can absolutely match the blue. So I could have brought in a blue and gave it like a, it would have given it a real nice contrast of color. But when I added the blue in here, I didn't want to put the blue on my mats, so I decided that I would go ahead and use the pretty peacock. And then these ones, I'm probably going to bring in my, let's see, I'm going to bring in the petal pink, and I'm just going to kind of just go around them real lightly. And this one, or at least this one I'm probably, yeah, I think I'm going to do the petal pink. I went ahead and I glued my title down because I knew where I wanted it. And I did cut a second set of letters in that pretty peacock cardstock, which is the same that I used in the frame back here, and then just offset it on top of this. And I liked how it kind of shadowed it and just made it a little richer and darker in the background. Now, I'm going to start bringing in my embellishments. I'm going to speed this process up quite a bit, but I want you to watch as I repeat my colors and my elements to each one of my embellishment clusters. I was thinking that this was the morning after we arrived in Cocoa Beach, but I guess it was the morning before we left. We had went for a beautiful walk on the beach. The weather was just perfect, and played in the sand and rode in the sand and held hands, and it just was a beautiful memory, and I'm so glad that I have that. I really treasure these little trips that I'm able to take with my husband now. We weren't able to take those for the first 20 years of our marriage, really the first 22 years of our relationship, because we had little kids. It's a privilege now, and I'm very grateful for this time that we have alone together. Back to scrapbooking. Okay, I really like the placement of these embellishments, and I moved a few things around and then added a few more pieces. Now, I went ahead and I print my journaling out, and I just used the scrap where I tested this color out. I cut that down and then just put it in my printer after I typed up my journaling. And I'm going to add these strips right here. And this is where, and I'm going to kind of stagger them, but this is where my journaling is going to be. Okay, so I thought that I would add some pearls. So I'm going to use these antique pearls. Okay, I have my gems here, and notice I still have my visual triangle. So I have 3 here, and then I have 4 here. And I like to use odd numbers. I feel like it's a little more pleasing to the eye, and it helps draw your eye across the page. I love this. Let me give you a closer look. I love the layered look of these embellishments, and adding in the embossing with the stamping. It just came out so pretty. And I really liked using that scrap paper that I put that water splashing on to do my journaling on. These came out so pretty. I really hope that you enjoyed this process video. Give me a thumbs up. And I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so hit that subscribe button. I've put another video up on screen that I really think that you will enjoy. Till next time, friends.